Hello everyone, welcome to Moonride. This is Dave Johnson. I am channeling politics today with the Man Moon, my guides. And today we're going to take a look at Trump's new case. It looks like the judges set the Stormy Daniels case for March 24th, I believe, right? So I just want to see what's going on in that case and also the ramifications. You know, sometimes Trump gets convicted of horrible crimes, and it doesn't really make much difference. I'm just curious to see if this one will make a difference. One thing I would find really interesting, and this I really kind of stole from Abraham Hicks, is the names. Like Trump has so many different meanings, just the word Trump. You know, it feels like we're always getting trumped. Think about Stormy, right? What does that mean? The universe has funny ways of joking with us. So I can really see Stormy. Stormy is just like, well, I hope this is an okay metaphor. She's shooting bullets from her breasts. Okay, so I hope this doesn't seem sexist at all, but it just seems like women's power, and at the same time is like, boom, boom. And since these breasts give us all power for life, that's how my mom fed me. And good for you guys, right? So she just looks like she's just shooting these bullets like she's unstoppable. That's how she appears, almost like a Rambo character. Like, don't mess with me. And it's just, kind of impressive. Here's a person we might think of as being oppressed, because of her particular career, who seems to be taking a lot of charge here. And this is very interesting. Okay, so there's like a curve of the planet, and there's a big Stormy Daniels, and then there's a Donald Trump. But you know what? They're the same height. They're the same size. He is not more powerful than she is. And I think it's just an incredible example of fairness. Rather than judge either of these two people for their backgrounds or careers or genders or power, here they are going to meet on a level playing field. And it's just one person's mind and power versus another person's mind and power. All right. And Stormy is so much more dynamic and intelligent, frankly. She's not driven so much by demons. She's a bit more driven by a feeling of justice. It's just, here is this person out of sort of left field, but at the same time, she's like the divine sword of justice. So there they are. And it's like they're two different continents sort of getting closer and closer to each other, yelling and waving, but then it sort of goes silent. And then, one thing is, conservatives, Trump, especially men, always talk over others. If you ever watch an interview, you can't get a word in if you're confrontational with Fox News. And well, they'll just edit it out. This cannot be edited. There's just a time for her to speak, and a time when reasonable people in a jury box listen, and this jury is listening to her. And they feel like they're leaving some of their judgments behind. They're not judging her by her appearance or career or something like that. That is a portion of what's happening at the beginning, but it kind of drifts a little bit. I guess Stormy is just appealing to people for their humanity. There are some women on the jury, and they're looking like they initially are just kind of like, who is this person? But as she speaks, they can identify with her. She is a parent, for example. All of them can identify with juggling a career and parenting. There's just a a way that she is. She's quite intelligent and quite a powerful person. That's what I see. She's speaking. The men are a little different. They're a little bit somewhat less sympathetic, but also somewhat more sympathetic in other ways. Like in some ways, they're like, oh, well, what do we care, you know? But in some ways, they're just a little bit more, almost I want to say aloof. But what I appreciate is that they are considerate. They really are considering these things. And it's a jury that you would want, but it's also a jury that is being persuaded by the personality of the person they're speaking to. It's just like, who is more real? So now Donald Trump is, well, here's the question, will he take the stand? There's a mixed feeling here. He kind of feels like he has to. Like the only way that he will overcome her is by going on the sitting in the witness stand. That's the only thing that he's got. She's got the weight of her personality and power, and he can't just sit there and listen. The lawyers are telling him, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. So are you going to go up there or not? He realizes also that he looks like a wimp if he doesn't. So are you going to go? I get the feeling he will. He is just defiant. And you know, this is just the Donald Trump's arrogance. He just thinks that he can always overcome others, dominate them. And when Donald Trump's on the witness stand, he actually has almost like a pair of scissors in his hands, and he's just going like this on the, on the stand. He's just like making a mark in the wood. He's just like scraping it. He just looks like a dangerous, angry person acting out. He looks like a child who's acting out, throwing a tantrum. There are people on that jury for whom that will make a big difference. And I don't know if he's literally going to take out the scissors, but you know, if you think of scissors, they try to cut, and he's not cutting anything with the scissors. He's just stabbing. So I believe this to be a metaphor I often see in metaphors, as you might know. And he's leaving this mark, and as he's doing it, the jury's just kind of grossed out. Like, who acts that way? And it's one thing to see somebody on TV getting attention, you know, that's like all a movie. But you know, when you're in a jury box and you're just 20 feet away from that guy, you just look at that. They just look at that blade and be like, ugh, you know what? I wouldn't want to be around that person. He's dangerous. There are a couple people in the jury who are kind of middle ground people. You know, they don't not enamored of right or left, who seem to be like kind of grossed out, just kind of wincing. Judges rolling their eyes. I think it's Marchand, the judge. And it looks like the judge has to reprimand him a couple of times, saying, you know, that's off topic, get to the point. He's not really following the rules at all. And you know, in a courtroom, you have to follow the rules. It's just a different space. All right. Okay, so what else is happening? Sorry, I was just sending a message to somebody to please mind your dog because it's barking. So what's going to happen here? There seem to be a couple of holdouts who aren't so sure. And they're getting pressure from people they know not to convict him. They don't particularly like people like Hillary Clinton. It's, again, very interesting. This time that we live in, we have been forced to choose a side. It's virtually impossible to be a centrist in this. You can try to be aloof from it, but you cannot be a centrist here. If you're on this jury, you have to say guilty or not guilty. The judge thinks he's guilty, so when I'm kind of waiting for the verdict, I see the judge sort of burst into laughter. Like, it's very unusual for the judge to show so much, but it's obvious the judge knows what's up. You know, he thinks this is just a messed up situation that, you know, it's obvious that Trump's guilty. You know, he's just seen so many people, and judge just doesn't like Trump. So I'm just checking out, is he going to be found guilty? Yeah, I feel very angry Trump. So I'm thinking he is going to be found guilty. I don't know if there's, I don't know right now what all the charges are. There may be more than one. It might be that some of the charges don't stick, that often juries try to compromise, you know, it's not unreasonable to compromise. Just, you look more just if you know, do some of the charges. It looks like you're being fair. Again, it's this sort of centrist nonsense. It's not right. But in order to convince to the juries, they might get to some, you know, I get like pretty bad, but not all the way charges. Again, I don't know if they're mixed charges here, but that's just kind of a feeling. So let's just take a look. Yeah, you know, there's a sort of crown that has been taken from Trump's head. This is making me think that he will indeed lose the case. And I think it will be because he largely because he did choose the stand. He cannot help himself in this particular case. And you know, the more advertising this gets, even if he were found innocent, the worse it is for Trump. The more that it is, the more that we know, the more difficult it is for, you know, the Christian right wings to say this is okay. It is like, this is a model for your kids. It's just embarrassing. And Trump, the more Trump speaks about it, again, he can't help himself, the more he reminds people of what a decadent person he is. So it will have important political effects. There will be some of the evangelical types who will drop him. They will feel like, this is a bridge too far. I can't preach this. I can't preach one thing and do another. Again, this is good. You know, people's consciousnesses are being affected. They're being compelled to decide what's right and wrong. And for all of us, I think this is a great message. It's not all bad. We are just being compelled to think a little bit further and to acknowledge the truth. So, what's going to be the consequences, Spirit? Well, I always see Trump going to jail, and I don't know if it's a metaphor. Many people have doubted this, and I don't blame them, because it seems like rich people always get off. But this time, I see him in a jail, but the door is just left a little bit open. I get the feeling that there will be sort of delays in the punishment. That is, even if he's found guilty, there will just be a sort of, you know, there are many trials going on. They won't be able to give him the punishment right away. It's, you know what, it's like this. I think all of these cases, it's like that door to the prison, it just gets closer and closer and closer to being closed. I think there's still a great possibility that Trump could try to escape. I think as this door closes, he gets more and more and more upset and less able to run against the run against Biden. All right, I'm sorry, guys. It looks like you can't listen. All right. Well, Stormy sure looks happy, which is one consequence. You know, it's almost like a lifetime of exploitation. Finally, I fought back, or you didn't think that I had that power. You know, it's very kind of uplifting for her. And you know, who knew that this would be the person that would be the first or second woman to take him down? Don't forget the judges; they are also in line to take him down. One of them, or more of them, is also a woman. This is a huge victory. And, you know, he threatened her. It wasn't just that she, it wasn't just that she, you know, took some hush money. She took hush money under duress. She was afraid, and she was afraid for her child. And that, that really makes a big difference. You know, when you can empathize with that person on the witness stand, it it matters. And it's interesting that people are indeed moved by their heart. It's not just other things. It is also, wow, that what is that like for that poor woman to threatened with a kid in the back seat who was, well, I'm seeing a toddler, a small child. And just in a sense, it is a victory for so many women out there who have been threatened. So is he gonna go to jail? Again, I think like there's jail in the works. It might be that something interrupts it. It might be that it's just delayed. It might be that Trump really does physically try to escape. Might be that Trump becomes, you know, super ill. But I get the feeling that this it has a feeling of being more devastating than E. Jean Carroll, because I think it's cumulative. It's not just a jury, but it's a second jury. And if you can't beat the second jury, even voters who don't really care are going to say, well, you know, he's a bad luck character now. He's just going to continue. If two juries are going to convict him, a couple of more are going to convict him before that election. We're wasting our time supporting a candidate who cannot be elected because he's in jail, or, yeah, for one reason or another, he's unable to win. And so he's going to start losing, and it's just going to be a spiral of paranoia for him. The less likely it looks like he's going to win, the more likely it is that he's just going to go into a crazy tailspin, and just the emotions that he's feeling are just, you know, bringing him closer and closer and closer to death, because it's just a person can't live under that kind of constant explosion and stress. That's the way that he deals with stress, is by exploding. But you know, it becomes a deadly habit, exploding. Is this going to affect, I should say, how is this going to affect the race? Well, Melania's pissed, let me tell you. And it's not just the fact that he did that, it's just how humiliated she is that he got caught. She's like, don't count on me to help you, man. I'm not going on your panic campaign trail. You know, I'll be home, you know, reading a book. She kind of wants him to be convicted. She kind of is like, I'm done with you anyway. I don't have an excuse. I don't have a reason to leave. Yeah, and don't be surprised if she files some divorce papers. She might need the money before he loses it all. Barron's looking pretty over it too. he just kind of lost a lot of respect for his dad. Like, here are these powerful people, generally speaking, they don't need to pay for it. It's like, what kind of guy does that? It's like, it's a guy who, can't get a date otherwise, and it's his mom, Melania is his mom. How would you feel if your dad got caught doing that? Let's just see what else there is for consequences. That, remember, there are some Republican women that are generally supporting him because that's what their compatriots do. That's what the people they know do. And it's just, again, I think an important step for those people to go, here's my, my group, my church, my family, all of those stuff. And this time, I don't agree with them. Like, they might even tell them, oh no, I'll vote for Donald, but they won't, because they have it's just a bridge too far for them. I think that this case in particular, again, just because it's cumulative on top of the Eugene Carroll case, will really sink Trump. It's just a really an extremely important bellwether for what will occur in the next few cases. Thanks so much for watching.